Echoes in Stone, A Tale of Two Caves. Nickajack Caves. There are places in this world that are not just on the map, but are a part of the map's soul. Nickajack Cave is one of them. For millennia, it has been a sacred place for the Cherokee, a haven for soldiers in the fury of war, and a wellspring of life for the creatures of the night. It is a place where a river disappears into the earth, and where 1,000 secrets are whispered on the wind. This place, Nickajack Cave, is more than just a cavern in the earth. It is a heart, a memory, and a spirit that has pulsed through the history of this land for ages. Before the first European settlers ever laid eyes on the Tennessee River, this was a sacred place for the Cherokee. They called this area Aniku-Sa-Ta-Be, or the place of the nut. And the town of Nickajack stood as a beacon of their defiance and their strength. It wasn't just a village, it was a sanctuary, a stronghold for the Chickamauga Cherokee who refused to be pushed from their ancestral lands. In the echoing halls of this very cave, they held their councils and their war dances, their voices rising to the ceiling, a testament to a people's will to survive. They knew the river's secrets and cave's mysteries. They understood that this was not a place to be owned, but to be respected. The river that flows here was their lifeblood, and the cave was a spiritual home, a place of refuge and of power. But the lines on the map were coming. The boundaries of a new nation and the hunger for new land would not be stopped. In 1794, the soldiers of the Nickajack expedition came. They didn't see a sacred place. They saw a stronghold to be conquered. The battle was quick and brutal, and it ended in a tragedy for the Cherokee. The town was burned, and a way of life was shattered. This cave, this very mouth that breathes the night air, became a symbol of a deep and terrible loss. And yet the spirit of the place remains, even as its waters were flooded by the dam, and even as it was mined for saltpeter during the Civil War. The cave has endured. It has welcomed back the endangered gray bats, who, like the Cherokee before them, find refuge in its depths. They emerge each night in a living, swirling cloud, a spectacle of nature that is a poignant reminder. It is a reminder that while the land can be taken and people removed, the memory of what was and the spirit of what is can never be erased. As we stand here, we are not just witnessing a natural phenomenon. We are bearing witness to the resilience of a sacred place, to the quiet but powerful history of the Cherokee, and to a truth that echoes from the very heart of this earth. Some things are stronger than any line we can draw. As the sun dips below the ridge and the first bats begin to stir, Nickajack is more than a cave. It is a metaphor for all the lines we draw and the ones we should never cross. Just a few miles from here, the graves in State Line Cemetery stand as a silent witness to our earthly conflicts. The bitter debate over a misplaced border, the apathetic quarrel over water rights, all of it seems so small when you stand at the mouth of a place that holds within it the raw power of the earth. This cave reminds us that the land itself does not care for our borders. The Tennessee River flows on, indifferent to the dispute over its waters. The bats, in their nightly pilgrimage, do not ask if they are flying over Tennessee, Georgia, or Alabama. They simply follow the call of the night, unbound by the arbitrary lines we place on a map. We come to this place tonight to bear witness to something larger than ourselves, to watch as the light fades and the darkness becomes a living, breathing thing. We come to be reminded that while we may argue over our past and fret about our future, there is an ancient, unyielding power in the natural world that dwarfs our petty concerns. The earth remembers, and in the echo of this cave, we are reminded that our time on this ground is brief. So let us stand in awe. Let us listen to the rustle of wings and the silence of the flowing river. Let this cave be a lesson that some things, like the forces of nature, the strength of history, and the simple truth of a shared land, are more powerful than any line we could ever draw. Russell Cave. To truly understand a place, you must listen to its whispers, not just the rustling leaves or the passing wind, but the echoes of a million stories held in the stone. Nickajack Cave holds the grief and defiance of a moment in time, but Russell Cave holds the very fabric of time itself. For 12,000 years, this great mouth in the earth has been a home. It is one of the oldest, most complete records of human habitation in the entire Southeast. Imagine this. Long before the pyramids of Egypt, before the great cities of Mesopotamia, small bands of people were huddled around a fire in this very shelter. They were the first Americans, the first to call this land home, and they left behind a layered record of their lives. Look at the ground beneath the feet. It is not just dirt and rock, it is a library. Each layer tells a story. At the deepest levels, you can find the simple spear points of the Paleo-Indians, hunter-gatherers who followed mammoth and mastodon across a wild, untamed continent. Above that, the tools of the archaic people who adapted to the changing climate and learned to thrive in the rich forests of this valley. You would find their bone fish hooks, their awls for sewing hides, and the charcoal from their campfires. Each piece a tangible link to a life we can only imagine. As the centuries turned into millennia, the stories change. We can see it in the artifacts. The introduction of pottery marks a new chapter, a time when people no longer needed to carry everything with them. The bow and arrow replaced the throwing stick, a silent revolution in how they hunted. This cave was a seasonal home, a winter sanctuary where families would find warmth and safety, a place to return to year after year. Russell Cave is not a monument to one single dramatic event like Nickajack, but a monument to the quiet, enduring saga of humanity. It is a story of adaptation and survival, a testament to the countless generations who lived and died here, who buried their loved ones in the earth and left behind the clues of their existence for us to discover. It teaches us a profound lesson that the most powerful stories are not always the loudest. They are often the ones whispered over thousands of years, told by the earth itself in the silent language of stone and bone. I hope you enjoyed this short trip and looking at the caves. Have a good day, guys.